What's up, Legends? Welcome to another week of Legends. This week, we have the Liandry salesman, the color commentator of the LCK, an online coach, and on top of everything he does, he's also co-streaming the LCS for all of you at home. It's none other than LS. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
No, thanks for coming on. How you doing?
I'm doing really good.
Okay.
Really good.
Just, constantly just deep inside League of Legends.
I'm just waiting for next week to start, pretty much.
All right, well, okay, LCK Summer 2020.
Yeah.
Round one just ended. Round one in a nutshell. How's it been?
Scary. We'll go with scary.
Okay.
There's a lot of turbulence so far inside of the league, and there's a lot of things that I think many people wouldn't have expected coming into summer.
All right, what's kind of the biggest thing you think that's
I
unexpected?
think Dom1's resurgence
All
is
right.
very unexpected, and then also T1's turbulence.
Okay, Dom1 on one hand,
Yeah.
T1 on the other. So I know you like Chovy is like your favorite player in the LCK. So if you had to pick ShowMaker right now,
Chovy.
Chovy.
Yeah.
All right, you didn't even have to think about it.
No, I didn't.
Will that ever change, you think?
No.
Okay. Well, we're gonna put that to the test because
Yeah.
I want to give you some money, LS.
I love money.
All right, that's great because it's gonna be $15 to be exact.
3 primes.
There you go. You're already thinking.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we want to see you build your dream team
Yeah.
in the LCK.
Okay.
So we went ahead and selected a sample of players based on mostly recent performances.
Okay.
And you're going to get $15. They're ranked based on their recent performances and value. And you get to build a team of 5 players.
Okay.
Sound good?
That sounds good.
All right. Well, let's take a look.
Okay.
You see them ranked from $5 to 1. You've got 15. Where do you want to start?
I want to start with Chovy.
Chovy in the mid lane. No surprise there.
No surprise.
All right. Where are we going next?
Probably go with Summit in top.
Oh, okay. Summon at $3.
Okay.
All right. So that's 7 total. You got 8 left.
Yeah. From here, there's 2 options. It's either Cuz or Spirit, and I think each one pivots into a different AD carry.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna go with Cuz.
Cuz in the jungle.
Yeah. We'll go with Cuz in the jungle, and then we'll go with Viper in AD carry.
All right, so 4 and 3. If it was Spirit in the jungle, who would have been your AD carry?
Ruler.
Ruler. Okay,
Yeah.
all right, so it's a little swap between
Yeah.
the 2 roles. But we got Cuz, Viper, and then for support, you only have $1 left, so it's between Secret and Smeb.
Yeah. I mean, Smeb.
Smeb.
Yeah.
Smeb over Secret.
감사합니다.
All right, well, that is your $15 roster. We got Summit, Cuz, Chovy, Viper, and Smeb. Let's talk about the top side first. I mean, that's
Yeah.
where most of your money went to building out this roster. Is that
Yeah.
because of the current meta?
I think that the top side stability is more than enough to convert into enough relief on
Okay.
the opposite side of the map, but also the combo of Viper and Smeb I think is interesting because Viper historically is one of the marksmen that's able to play non-traditional champions down in the bot lane, and so when you pair that with the top laner, I think you actually get some potential creative mix-ups.
Now that you mention it, that could be pretty fun to watch. And then for the top side, I mean, you start with Chovy and then you put Cuz in the jungle as well.
Yeah.
I mean, we often talk about top jungle or mid jungle synergy. Do you think that there's a lot of synergy you can already foresee from that, or is it just because both players are kind of at top of their game?
I think Chovy is the most adaptable mid laner currently. And I know that might sound weird, but he's the most reliable and adaptable mid that I think you can put in. And so I think that gives a lot of freedom to everyone around him.
I took a quick jab at this as well and made a roster, and I want you to tell me how it is. Give me your 2 cents.
Okay.
Okay? So I'm going to start with Faker in the mid lane, Teddy and ADC. 2 superstars, personally big fan of their play, and I think they would make a strong kind of foundation. All right?
Okay.
Now, to round out the roster, I think top lane, I would go with Kana, Cuz in the jungle, and then Effort for support. Actually, that would be my dream team in the LCK.
Impostor.
Did you go to school in America?
I did, actually. Why do you ask? How'd you know that?
Your math seems a little off.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're concerned about the numbers.
Yeah, I was.
Don't worry about the numbers. Joe's gonna pay for it.
What's wrong with this?
All right, well, we got a glimpse of your thought process when it comes to players in the LCK, and I'm gonna extend that a little further to everything in League of Legends by playing a quick game of this or that.
Okay.
All right, so we have a couple topics and just see where you stand.
Okay.
All right, let's get started. The first question is going to be Liandry's or Morello?
Liandry.
I know, that's an easy
Yeah.
one. Why Liandry's? I mean, what's wrong with Morello?
It's like an Apple product.
Okay, all right.
You know, like
Okay.
it's pretty much that you're paying a whole lot for not a whole lot of value. Everything that you're getting comes from Oblivion Orb mostly.
Gotcha.
The Grievous Wounds is more often than not luxury, and if you allocate the 1,400 gold that you needed to complete into Morello into another item, and then you factor in how practical it is that either a team fight will ensue or how urgent you need that item at that point in time, you can just put it somewhere else. But Liandry's, the Madness passive, percent max HP burn, keeps getting better as the game goes. As you get more damage, the Madness effectively keeps getting more damage. So the item's just really underappreciated, and it took way longer than it should have to become as popular as it is.
Gotcha. Well, you've heard it for the umpteenth time. Buy your Liandry's, forget the Morello. Okay, next question.
Yep.
We got Senna. For runes, are we taking Grasp of the Undying or Glacial Augment?
Senna, it matters, is she fasting or is she actually AD carry? Is she genuinely support? Who is her, what champions are on her team? Does she have to build a Black Cleaver? Can she go lethality? Are there good Black Cleaver users on her team? Is she going for the tanky Senna build because the opponents have lots of dive? So everything sort of matters. It's not going to be a black and white answer.
Okay. Okay.
When you sift through all the black and white, the final answer will sound black and white. So like often on casts, I will say a black and white, and it's because I sifted through the gray.
Because of the current situation.
Right, and then I get yelled at by the heckler.
Got it. But so that seems kind of up for grabs. Both are good in their own situations.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. Next, let's talk in the jungle. If you had to pick, Graves or Shyvana?
Ooh. What are the teammates? That's pretty much the problem. I would say that Graves is able to come out earlier. So I typically refer to this as like B1, R1, R2. But for sake of the argument, we can just say blind. Graves is going to be more of a blind pick than Shyvana.
Okay. You think it just works better in more situations?
He can disrupt more team compositions. He can also reach more team compositions. And by reach, I mean he can go pure lethality and just basically help out his teammates as a support just by giving R. Or his smoke screen, or he doesn't have the ability to constantly auto. And so Graves has some variations in his build path and his playstyle that Shyvana, when you're playing her as AP, doesn't really have that luxury.
Got it. All right, a little more flexibility for Graves. Okay, the next one's a little different. I want to ask, which is scarier, or which would you rank higher in terms of performance? All right.
Okay.
We got Ruler's Ashe, and then Deft's Ezreal.
I think Deft's Ezreal, when it's on, is very nice to watch.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, would you say Deft is perhaps the best Ezreal player in LCK or even the world?
When he's on.
When he's on.
When he's on.
Okay. All right, Deft's Ezreal over Ruler's Ashe. Another one then, ShowMaker's Zoe,
Okay.
putting everyone to sleep, and then Faker's Azir.
ShowMaker Zoe.
Ooh, okay. Is that partly also just the champion? Like there's more like play potential perhaps with Zoe?
Yeah, there's a lot more creativity and there's a lot more innovation that you can do with Zoe, whereas Azir is very, very straightforward most of the time. So even when you pull off something on Azir, I think this would have been different if maybe it was LeBlanc, but Azir, even though
Faker's LeBlanc.
Yeah, even though Faker has the Azir opening in LCK, I don't think of Azir when I think of Faker.
That's true. I mean, I think of Zed still.
I think of LeBlanc.
LeBlanc. Yeah, LeBlanc's a big one for Faker.
Yeah.
If it was LeBlanc, do you think you'd have a tougher time choosing, or would you still perhaps lean towards Zoe?
I would probably end up just saying Faker's LeBlanc because ShowMaker still has yet to really become iconic. And ShowMaker is just so good on so many different champions. When I actually think of Zoe, I think of Chovy, not ShowMaker.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you think of Chovy for every champion, though?
No?
Okay, all right. I just wanted to double check where you stand. Okay, let's talk Ezreal. And you're talking about the items and Iceborn Gauntlet or Trinity Force.
So this one's pretty interesting because I started talking about it around the time where Liandry Morello started. Sometimes he's not actually auto-attacking a lot in team fights. He's just spamming Q and W, and into Liandry's a lot smoother. Whereas if you go into Trinity Force, there has to be justification. Iceborn Gauntlet is if the opponents reach onto you or try to dive you with lots of physical damage, the armor has a lot of value. There's also the part where Trinity Force in that regard. And so it really matters. The cut. This guy's a sinner. Hey!
Now, round 1 of the Summer Split just wrapped up as we moved on to round 2. But before we look at the highlights from last week, I want to mention the T1 versus Gen.G match, the rivalry match. Of course, this time Gen.G winning 2-0.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing for me was they had one of the most epic fights right before the game ended in that bottom lane. And I feel like this is just, it shows what you can expect from good rivalries in the league.
Yeah, I think Gen.G versus T1, there was obviously a lot of interesting stuff in the series, and I'm looking forward to what happens when they eventually collide again later on, because I had Gen.G slated to win prior to the series unfolding.
Okay.
And I think that if everything continues as such, I think I would have them as the favorites again.
Okay, all right. So we'll see if Gen.G can keep it up or if T1's going to take the reins back the next time they meet. But again, it's, you know, it always just brings up a lot of hype, and also because it helps that both teams are kind of always prime teams that we're looking at within the LCK. Pretty interesting. But more importantly, we had a lot of action to wrap up round 1 of the Summer Split. So let's look at the top 5 plays of last week. At number 5. If there's one thing Rich knows, it's how to play Aatrox, as he gets an impressive solo kill. Doran actually picked the fight, but Rich, puts the ward down to make sure he doesn't lose sight of him, chases him down, and gets first blood.
PayPal well received.
And number 4. This one, it's T1 versus KT.
I mean, this was the game where they have the 3 Infernal Dragons. Teddy's looking for the angle on 200 years, and aiming just throws the game completely away on the Arcane Shift. Moonlight Vigil comes in. Aphelios gets to do what Aphelios wants to do.
Yeah.
And KT, I mean, they basically just gave it to him, so I guess we better nerf Aphelios.
In number 3.
And so in this clip, Damwon, I mean, they're already up 7,000 gold. They have an Infernal, and I mean, the teleports come in, it's Ashe's Pikachu, and Nuguri just completely destroys the entire enemy team. But nothing else can happen.
It's over in a blink. Quadra kill for Nuguri. For number 2.
Sully and Prince are randomly in mid lane when their jungle camps are up and they're down 5k gold because no one knows. But Galio gets a 4-man taunt.
Yeah, I mean, Hanwha Life needed this. Come on, Ellis. They needed this boost to their morale. They finally got a win on the board. And the best play of the week.
And so this one's a little bit scary actually, because BDD almost got removed from the LCK for this because he actually showed that it's scripted.
Oh.
So definitely a little bit worrisome.
Yeah, well, it was a ridiculous play, one that we've never seen before, but that's how BDD locks in the top play of the week. And that brings us to week 6 of the LCK Summer Split. So let's bring up the schedule and take a look at what's in store. We return to a 4-day week as matches now start on Thursday, but this week, Saturday's the big day. T1 is playing off against Hanwha, who did just get their first win, but T1 should be able to take this one. Later that evening, it's going to be Gen.G challenging DRX for a potential top spot.
Yeah, and I think the DRX Gen.G one is super interesting because I think that DRX can actually drop that series, and it's very big for Damwon. Because I don't think Damwon would drop the series to Gen.G right now.
Okay.
And Damwon is really up there as well, and DRX has to go up against them later. So if Damwon, or if DRX wants to maintain their top standing, they need to win that match.
Well, of course, those are the top 3 teams in the standings, so let's actually bring it up and see how things shake up. Like we mentioned, DRX through Gen.G. DRX currently ranked 1, but Damwon Gaming or Gen.G, either one could be up there by the end of the split.
Yeah, well, I think Damwon is favored against both DRX and Gen.G right now if they were to collide immediately. Even though DRX won their last series, it looked like Damwon was the better team that day, despite that loss. And then for the rest of the standings, T1 Afrika, I think they're pretty much locked in. The only thing I can see changing is maybe Afrika and KT swapping.
Okay, so it sounds like you said in the beginning, overall things are still pretty scary, and from a fan's perspective, pretty interesting. And it all comes down to Dom1 Gaming, see if they can keep it up for the rest of the split. Well, we've talked about your dream team in the LCK. You've also bored me to death about which item to pick for Ezreal. Trinity Force, Iceborn Gauntlet. To me, it's all the same. But right now, before we let you go, I want to switch gears real quick and talk about how more and more teams have been hiring performance and mental health coaches. And I want to ask, what value do they bring for performance and sustainability for these players and teams?
Well, I think I've been pretty outspoken about it for a while now, and that I think that psychologists or therapists being on site should be something that every team would have, especially when they're shelling out sometimes on average 7+ figures a year on everything that they include. And I think that mental health, managing stress, managing daily relations amongst each other, it's super, super important, and it's important to have someone that is equipped to actually deal with that, be present on site, because I think that in terms of longevity, it matters a lot because burnout is so prevalent inside of esports, and depression and anxiety and stress and managing everything, and it could probably be a pretty big outlet that would just help so many people in their careers. So I think considering most teenagers, late teenagers and young adults transition only just from playing games into straight pro career and not having good infrastructure for that, I think even more reason to have it.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I think it's very important, like, not just you, but more and more people are talking about taking the focus not just on the gameplay, right, but before their debuts and into after their careers as well, taking better care of the players that we love watching play League of Legends. Well, thank you so much for joining us on the show and taking the time to share your thoughts, LS.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, well, for more of LS's analysis, remember, you can catch him live on the LCK broadcast starting Thursday this week. For more content like this, subscribe right here on T1 Fighting. And if you enjoyed this episode, give us a like and let us know down in the comments below who your $15 roster would be. With that, have a legendary week.